Our cognitive biases can be weaponized both for good and for harm. Nudge is a 2008 book by Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein, an economist and a legal scholar who applied behavioral economics to what they called choice architecture. They identify ways in which institutions can improve outcomes by simply designing their systems to account for the systematic errors people will make due to cognitive biases. They call them nudges. Here's an example. When you get a job with benefits, you make selections about which health insurance plan or retirement plan you want. Because that decision is complex and difficult, most people don't want to think about it that hard. And so most people end up going with whatever the default option is. A simple nudge to help improve outcomes is to have the default option be the one which is generally the best option for most people. It's really that easy. The opposite of this is what they call sludge, where the way the choice is presented to you makes it harder to reach the best decision. To unsubscribe from the New York Times, you have to call them and sit on the phone for a while and then talk to a salesperson who tries to talk you out of it. This is a friction in the choice architecture, something designed to make it hard to reach a certain outcome. One example from the book on how important choice architecture is relates to the percentage of people in each of these countries who is a voluntary organ donor. None of these countries require people to be organ donors. It's totally voluntary in every one of them. In the Netherlands, they launched a massive advertising campaign to try to convince people to become organ donors, and they got 28% of their population to sign up. Pretty cool. But in neighboring Belgium, 98% of people volunteered to become organ donors without any advertising campaign. In Austria and France and Hungary and Poland and Portugal, virtually everyone has volunteered to be an organ donor. Are the people in these countries really that much more generous than people in Germany or Denmark or the UK? What could explain these differences? Well, I'll tell you. In Germany, to be an organ donor, you need to fill out a form and send it in. Few people want to go through the hassle of doing this. In Austria, you need to fill out the form to not be an organ donor. And again, basically no one cares enough to go through the hassle of doing that. In the four countries on the left, you have to opt in to being an organ donor. In the countries on the right of the chart, you have to opt out. That is choice architecture, and it can make a big difference. You probably encounter choice architecture attempting to influence your decisions all the time. Decoy pricing is a common way to get people to buy more expensive things. If you have the choice between a $10 bottle of wine and a $30 bottle of wine, the $30 bottle of wine looks pretty expensive. But if we add the choice of a $50 bottle of wine, suddenly $30 doesn't seem like that much. When buying an iPhone, Apple charges an extra $100 to upgrade the storage by one step, but $200 to upgrade to the third step. My guess is that they don't sell a lot of 512 gigabyte phones, and that's on purpose. The $200 jump to 512 makes the $100 jump to 256 seem more reasonable, and that's the one they really want you to buy. There's an old story of a tailor who would call out to his partner in the back when you asked him the price of a suit. "Hey, how much is this blue suit?" he would shout, and his partner would reply loudly from the back so the customer could hear, $42. Feigning to hear him, the tailor would ask, "What did you say?" $42, the reply would come. Then the tailor would turn to the customer and say, "He says it's $22. The customer, thinking the tailor was hard of hearing, would quickly pay and go. But the tailor and the partner had worked it out all ahead of time. The suit really was $22, and thinking they were getting a deal, the customer paid full price. Behavioral economics illuminates the many ways we humans err. But the most important bias to know about is the belief that all of this applies to other people and not to you. don't fall for it.